颗明亮的黄星正笼罩在互联网之上，红色的夯全球，传播着我们的神魂诡异死。
While CHINAMAXXING has become a cultural phenomenon, and the era of Eastern Glaze is in full swing, it wasn't too long ago when America was hating on China, and tensions were very high. Well, how did we get here? Why do so many of us in the West seem to be in a very Chinese moment of our lives? Why are we all wearing sandals, smoking exclusively Chinese cigarettes? And why are we drinking hot water in the morning while reading Confucius? Well, as a collective, all of these things hit at once, right when the term CHINAMAXXING hit the internet. But to understand how China, and more specifically China's maxing, became so popular, we first have to go back to a time when Chinese love was non-existent. Back to a time when honestly, a lot of people were full-on hate maxing on China. Back to the days right when the COVID-19 virus was surfacing and first identified in Wuhan, China. To truly understand how miraculous China's glow-up was in the eyes of the Western world, we have to touch on this a little bit, at least briefly. The second the pandemic hit, everyone seemed to board the hate train. People's fear over an unknown virus took over their better conscience, especially within large metropolitan areas with international airports like New York, Washington, and San Francisco. Because the virus was first identified within Wuhan, China, all Asians in America were on the receiving end of a lot of hate. The racist people crawled out of the woodworks and used the paranoia and fear spawned in from the virus to commit acts of aggression towards the Asian people living throughout the West. Many headlines of Asian Americans being attacked and sometimes seriously hurt were popping up all around the country. Hate crimes against Asian people rose by 301% in the largest city in Canada and 145% in the largest cities of the US. In response to this large spike of xenophobia, Asian Americans band together to create organizations like Hate is a Virus and Stop AAPI Hate. So how did we within a 5-year span go from this high level of tension and hatred to CHINAMAXXING? I mean, what a turn that has occurred. 5 years is not that significant, and somehow we have done a 180-degree turn in public perception. How did this happen? The positive opinions that have been growing around China are not new. In fact, they've been growing despite the current global tensions. But I'm pretty sure I know how China got everyone to like it. They put out bangers in every form of media and technology imaginable. And when I say China was putting out bangers, I mean China is putting out bangers. Truthfully, China has been putting up generational numbers when it comes to producing entertaining media. And this is not new. In 2017, the world of anime was blessed with a niche donghua called King's Avatar. This was one of those OG Chinese bangers that helped break China into the Western market, garnering a strong fan base that has followed the series into its most recent season that aired in 2024. Boom! Link click. This banger dropped April 2021, and it busted into the world of anime with its interesting supernatural premise and strong suspenseful storytelling. Boom! Scissor 7, often described as a sleeper hit, this donghua comedy didn't just break into American markets, it became popular worldwide. And you might be thinking right now, oh, so China solved the anime community. How could this lead to CHINAMAXXING? Brother, they did not just solve the anime community. They also had the readers by the balls. My brother, what do you know about Lord of Mysteries? Oh, you never heard of that one? What about Reverend Insanity? Oh, you're not in action? Well, then have you ever heard of Heaven's Official Blessing? Yeah. China was pushing bangers out left and right. And I have no doubt in my mind that many of you have not heard of any of these, despite them being some of the most popular pieces of China media in the West. But no worries, no worries. All of these bangers are just seeds of acceptance that will grow into our hearts. There's an adjustment period to these things. You can't expect Western audiences to instantly like Chinese media. You know, it's quite different from ours, so we have to adapt to the quirks present in their shows and novels. How many American shows have young master archetypes? Oh, what even is a young master archetype, you ask? Well, imagine if the richest person in your city for some reason has targeted you and wants to make your life a living hell for no reason. Besides maybe the fact that you walked into a dumpling shop when he was tweaking out. That's the young master archetype. It sounds ridiculous, and it is. They act purely as plot devices in many forms of Chinese media that only exist to present the character in a story with a challenge to overcome. So yes, you can't expect Western audiences to just accept these story devices on first exposure. However, you better believe that we will accept it after enough exposure. Case in point, anime. In recent years, anime has become mainstream, and it's become mainstream despite the rampant tropes that plague the medium. Much like the young master trope in Chinese media, I'm positive that anime didn't take off initially because of the strange character types. They're very hard to swallow for the Western audience. Take tsunderes, for example. Tsundere girls refuse to say how they really feel in the most obnoxious ways possible. If a tsundere girl loves a character, she won't say I love you. Instead, she will scream I hate you and beat on the main character. Straight domestic violence. And in most cases, that's just not a fun watch. It's not. Yet somehow, even though this character archetype is in almost every anime, it has become one of the most popular pieces of media in America today. To take this back to Chinese media, media, despite us Western audiences not having nearly the same amount of exposure, certifiable bangers like To Be Hero X and Road to Empress both dropped. Both of these series absolutely exploded in the Western world. To Be Hero spawned memes and theories that stuck to the internet for its entire runtime. And Road to Empress had middle-aged men LARPing as young Chinese consorts, trying to win the emperor's favor. That is a hard sell on paper. I have zero interest in pretending to be a young Chinese woman, but somehow it hooked these guys. And I'm sure it hooked many casual players as well. I mean, look at the Steam reviews. This game is overwhelmingly loved by its player base. And I say all of this to make one simple point. China has been breaking its way into our entertainment industry one banger at a time, and they started a long time ago. CHINAMAXXING did not pop up overnight. We have all been slowly falling in love with Chinese media, mostly because they won't stop dropping bangers. And yes, all of this was really necessary for CHINAMAXXING to emerge. To Be Hero X and Road to Empress dropping was just the right catalyst. If I was to compare this or give this an analogy, I would say that the explosives were ready to go off, but we still haven't lit the fuse. 2020, President Donald Trump proposes a ban on TikTok as a national security risk. April 24th, 2024, President Joe Biden signed a sale or ban law that gave TikTok's parent company 9 months to de-invest in TikTok. January 10th, 2025, Xiao Zhichu, owner of TikTok, appeared in court to fight the law. D-Day. January 19th, 2025, TikTok was officially banned. The fuse was lit. There's absolutely zero chance that as a collective, we were going to let the government take away our ability to brainwash. So we decided to take a chance. 700,000 Americans decided to move over from the newly banned TikTok to Rednote, a Chinese version of Instagram. We basically all switched from scrolling TikTok to scrolling on Chinese Instagram Reels, and that came with a lot of exposure to Chinese life, memes, and media. The experience as a whole ended up being very, very positive. All of the Chinese people got free A+ on their English homework, that's real, and Americans got to doom scroll for the excruciating 12 hours that TikTok was banned for. Overall, the great cultural exchange hosted on Rednote only created a positive perception of China in the minds of young Americans, especially in one very, very influential American known for being fast. Some might even say speedy. ishowspeed went to China and it exploded. I personally believe that everything up to this point was a setup. Hear me out. I know it sounds crazy, but China was producing major bangers left and right, and Americans just happened to experience mass exposure to Chinese culture through Rednote. And all of this happened just 3 months before ishowspeed's tour. If that's not a cosmic setup, I don't know what is. So, ishowspeed went to China. And you might think that sounds silly. How can one man cause a cultural explosion that is on as big of a magnitude as CHINAMAXXING? And I'll admit, it does sound silly, maybe conspiracy theory-esque. You might be thinking, take the tinfoil hat off, little bro. But I need you to understand, the China tour streams had 8.2 billion cumulative views. I mean, that is insanity. And somehow it all happened right when Americans were warming up to the idea of China. I'm telling you, everything lined up for this. But regardless of views, his tour showed off many different aspects of China that had not really been touched upon or seen through the Rednote exchange. Speed showed off the incredible architecture, history, and technology within China. He had real experiences with real Chinese people, and it went really well. Speed trained with Shaolin monks, he sat in an experimental flying car, and he backflipped on the Great Wall. And these events led to more internet personalities hopping on the China train. All of the large streamers and YouTubers all seem to be taking trips to China. Side note, my personal favorite series to come out of this was the Tip to Tip China series. The series showcased traveling China without any help from maps, smartphones, or any type of translating devices. It really forced them to communicate with the locals, and I think it did a great job of showcasing another side of China. At this point, I think it's safe to say the collective opinions on China within the West have taken a complete 180 since 2020. We have enjoyed the Chinese stories and animations, participated in their social medias, and that brings us to today. All of this has allowed CHINAMAXXING as a meme to flourish. Did I overthink this? Maybe. Do I seriously think this was the pipeline that led to the CHINAMAXXING meme? 100%. What are my sources? Just trust me, bro.